What up, Clipper Nation? 3 dozen in first here. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm Adam Osland. Clippers Countdown, your pregame show starts in 12 minutes. Hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Alex Webb in here. Let's get a dub. Would be a big win. In-season tournament matchup. I had a good Thanksgiving, especially because I just ate a bunch of turkey right now since it was a vegan Thanksgiving for me. But Katie Newton, our producer extraordinaire, brought me turkey from her Thanksgiving. So now I feel like it was official. So if I fall asleep during the broadcast, you guys know why. That's only acceptable if the Clippers are down 20. Alex Webb said, I wonder if Norm had a setback. Wait a second. Do we have an update? I haven't even checked in the last half hour. Is Norm Powell in? He's out. My prediction was wrong. I really thought he was going to be ready for today's ball game. That is unfortunate. It's a hamstring. It can be tricky. You got to be careful. Brandon Beasley apparently didn't know. Norm Day, he said. Nope, Norm is out. Ernie said, Mo time for Jordan Miller. My player to watch last game went for his career high with those 15 points. Not to brag or anything, but 15 on 7 of 10 shooting. Had a three-pointer. No Norman Powell. Going to make things difficult, but they're 4-1 without him so far. They've been able to manage. And the Timberwolves are struggling, guys. They have lost 4 in a row. If you listen to my Thanksgiving special spectacular yesterday, I previewed the game. But they've lost 7 of 9, 4 in a row. They're not playing good basketball. Alex Webb said Coffee is a Minnesota guy. Hopefully he pops off. This is true. I might have to go with Amir Coffee as my player to watch because of those reasons. Yeah, no Norm. I really thought he'd be available for this one. He joined them on the road trip, so he must have felt good enough to at least test it out and give it a shot. What's up? Chiefs won 1917.
Like, they're not winning big, man.
Over the Raiders? It's almost like a loss. You got to win by more than that against the Raiders.
I thought the Raiders could do it.
I'm just glad they got done before we started. Is that the only NFL game today?
Yeah. Black Friday football.
Was there any more college football going on?
I don't care about college.
Katie Newton only cares because Chargers in the AFC West, and she wanted Kansas City to lose. Not that the Chargers could catch them anyways at this point, but
they're not going to catch the Chiefs, so we get a wild card, baby.
What do you guys have? The 6th seed right now?
Ole Miss and Mississippi State or Missouri State playing Georgia Tech and Georgia.
Oh, Georgia Tech and Georgia is called the Good Old Fashioned Hate Bowl. Good Old Fashioned Hate. That's the nickname for that game.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of, Terrence Mann doesn't seem to like Rudy Gobert.
What a transition.
Rudy Gobert brings out the best in Terrence Mann. Mann played well against Washington, but it was all inconsequential time for the most part. I thought he had some aggressive plays. Just 6 points, but 4 assists, 4 steals. Clippers had 18 steals as a team, which I think was, let me check with Clippers PR here. I want to say, yes, that was the 5th game since the year 2000 that the Clippers have had at least 18 steals in a single game. So, against Minnesota, if they can keep that going, that would be big. Alex Webb said Bolt Gang. Bolt bang or don't gang, or Bolt gang or don't bang. Jesus Rodriguez said, let's go Clippers. Or Jesus Rodriguez. I'm excited for this matchup. Timberwolves have had the Clippers number overall. I should check on this. But last season, the Clippers did finally break through and beat them. And it was the game that Norm Powell had the windmill dunk at the very end of it. No Norm in this one. So that wasn't the last game of the season, though. That was the one the Clippers lost, where I think Kawhi Leonard exited the ball game with lower back spasms. That was, at Crypto. The Clippers won in Minnesota, though. The game I was referring to with Norman Powell in that dunk to end it. 89-88 was the final. But the Clippers have lost, let's see here, 5 of 6. 5 of their last 6 games against the Timberwolves after they had won 5 of 6 against them. But basically, since 2023, they have lost 5 of their last 6 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. But different Timberwolves team right now, different constructed squad. I don't like everything they've been doing. I didn't like when they traded for Rudy Gobert. I felt like they were trying to jump in line and be competitive too soon instead of waiting for Anthony Edwards to come along and then using those picks and assets to acquire a guy a little bit later. But you can't argue with the results last season. They got to the Western Conference Finals, but then they traded Karl Anthony Towns. Did I hear that Pat Bev and Kawhi had a phone convo? Yeah, I'm the one who posted it on Twitter. That's getting a bunch of attention. Did I hear? I was practically there, man. I'll play it for you guys here, since apparently Alex Webb doesn't follow me on Twitter. Big time casual stuff here. How could you not follow me? Check it out. Did I hear? Did I?
Thinks right now. Views are
Or
low.
was it earlier
They're gonna be
today?
scary in the. I talked to Kawhi on the phone yesterday. They're gonna be scary in the playoffs. I talked to Kawhi on the phone yesterday. He's healing up. He's healing up like a fucking machine. Claw. That's why I got him in my phone. Claw. The league stinks right now. Views are low. I agree. They are waiting on the claw. I say, tell my boy Jerm, I say, lock the fuck in. He said, I'm gonna get right, I'm on the way. Silent assassin. That's my dog.
I hope he takes his time coming back. As much as
Did I hear? I beat that was the tweet that I put out from the latest episode on the Pat Bev podcast. Yeah. Alex Webb's got some egg on his face. Said, oh my gosh, my bad. I missed that. Now I follow you. So this is probably the most hopeful news we have gotten recently regarding Kawhi Leonard. Right? Has to be. Now, it's still coming from Pat Bev. He's not a doctor to my knowledge. And I think he's been overly optimistic in the past sometimes when it comes to Kawhi's health. But they're friends, they're close, and I'll take it. I'll take any positive news regarding Kawhi that we can get right now. MKXLNT said, few things I love more than disappointing Warriors fans and an upset Ant-Man. Let's get it. Ant-Man's already upset is the problem. They have lost 4 in a row. He called out his crew for being soft, for not even being able to talk to each other. I think what he was saying is they're walking on eggshells and not trying to upset each other by calling each other out for poor play, especially on the defensive end where they have had a precipitous drop-off. They went from the number 1 defensive team last season, by far, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Right now they are 12th. And most people thought when they lost Karl Anthony Towns, it would be their offense that suffered. No, it's actually on the defensive end right now. I still think the personnel is good enough to be a top 5 defense. I thought they would be heading into this season. So far, I look wrong about that. I just don't think they're that connected. I think there are communication issues going on. That's kind of what Anthony Edwards alluded to. So they're better than their record. I know they're 8-10. I know they've lost 7 of 9. I know they aren't playing good basketball right now, but they had a really good third quarter against the Kings where they held them to 12 points, and they've showed flashes recently. I'm going to be back in a flash. Back in 2 minutes here. Pre-game will start then. Until then, chat amongst yourselves. Welcome into Clippers Countdown as your 12-8 LA Clippers, who are on a hot streak, having won 6 of 7. Well, they face a cold Minnesota Timberwolves team that is 8-10 and that has lost 7 of 9, including 4 in a row. But a wounded animal is a dangerous one, and the T-Wolves are hungry like a wolf, as they are, for a victory, and have Ant, who's one of the bigger stars in the league in Anthony Edwards, that just called out his team for being soft. So expect a spirited effort from Minnesota today, as I don't think they'll be giving any discounts, even on a Black Friday. You're going to have to pay full price and give a full effort at Target Center to beat this squad. But playing hard has been something this Clippers team, well, they've been bringing that each and every night this season after being led by, once again, James Harden on Wednesday.
James tries, cut off by Poole with 3 to shoot. Step back 3. Down the hatch. James Harden shakes Jordan Poole. James stamps it, takes it downhill. Harden to the rack. The lefty layup rolls in. Harden with 14. One-on-one with Pittsburgh. Harden, another sidestep 3. Splash! James Harden making it rain. Working right wing in front of Ryan Keefe. A sidestep 3. Jackpot! James Harden with a 20 spot. James on the right wing, another 3. Oh, yeah! Harden pulleys to the rim, floats it up, floats it in. Harden around a screen from Zubats, takes it into traffic, stops and starts, left-handed layup, kisses the window, and falls through. Harden's open, left wing 3 is through! On the left wing, step back 3 for 42, you bet! His first 40-point game since March of 2021. Fear the beard, because it's straight buckets here in D.C. 81-59 Clippers.
Carlo Jimenez on the call. James Harden ended up with his career and make it just Clippers' career high of 43 points after getting things started with a 23-point first quarter. And the Clippers snapped the Wizards' magic wand in half with a 25-point victory in D.C. over the Washington Wizards. Here was James Harden post-game on FanDuel Sports Network with Lauren Rosen.
As of tonight, you have scored 40-plus points 102 times in your career. What were you guys able to find early tonight to make that possible?
Never mind their record. They play hard. So we wanted to come out here from the beginning of the game and just be aggressive and get a win. It's the third game on a 4-game road trip, so we want to make sure that we come out with a win, and we did that.
Wizards head coach Brian Keefe, who you worked with 16 years ago in Oklahoma City, said pregame that he wants you to serve as an example for his young players for how much hard work goes into becoming a James Harden. Can you take us inside what that hard work has looked like since then?
It's a process, man. Every single day you put the effort in, and the results will pay off. You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but through it all, you got to put the work in. And eventually the work, you'll get your opportunity, and you take advantage of the opportunity. So for me, just been trying to be consistent with my work ethic, and that's why I'm in the position that I am today. But that's a great young team over there. They just got to continue to work hard individually and as a group, and hopefully they'll put it together.
Speaking of youth, last question. How proud are you of your youth on this Clippers bench after a night like tonight?
Man, these guys, I mean, I'm not old, but they make me feel young, man. They push me. We work together. It's a real team, and I'm proud of the guys, especially after tonight. But I'm proud of the guys and the way we approach, each game differently in a great way. We're professional about it, and so a lot of games are going to be different than others. But the mindset and mentality that we have as a unit is very special. So I'm proud of this team.
James Harden, you are not old, obviously. Thank you so much.
Look at all these gray hairs. I am not old. I'll still get going.
James Harden, at 35 years young, has been a great leader for this team as they wait for the return of the Claw. Tip time between the Clippers and Timberwolves from Minnesota is just about 58 minutes away. Coming up, you're going to hear from the head coach and Tyronn Lue, plus Lob Murray will be here from The Athletic. But up next, it's your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez as you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Wild West. Clippers taking on the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Tip-off is just about 55 minutes away. Welcome back in. This is the official pregame show of your Los Angeles Clippers. I'm Adam Osland. Still to come, we'll go back in time in Clippers Rewind. But first, we head out to Target Center to meet back up with your radio voice of the Clippers, Carlo Hennes. Carlo, my guy, hope you're a few pounds heavier and you enjoyed yourself yesterday. Lovely. The tryptophan set in and hit Carlo so fast, or maybe my first segment wasn't good enough, and he fell asleep, or either that he just could not hear me here. You know what? We can jump ahead. While we get set up with Carlo Jimenez, let's jump ahead by going backwards. Let's talk about a Clippers versus Timberwolves game from 2013 as we go back in time in Clippers Rewind. We're going back over 11 years here to November 11th of 2013. The movie Dallas Buyers Club was in theaters, where Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto won Academy Awards for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor, respectively. On the radio, the song Royals by Lord was just taking off, and the Clippers were taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, where there was a battle between two of the best power forwards in the game.
Griffin has it against Love to the left hand. Love steps back. Bingo. Love got it. Oh, that's a nice little move by Kevin Love. Love and Griffin both have 7. Beautiful move.
Well, I think Blake has sensed what I'm seeing. That not only is he physically more gifted than Love, but he's got more energy tonight. You can just feel it.
Ball to Griffin. Wow. And curl it in.
Yeah, that was quite the battle back then. An epic back and forth between the two bigs. Kevin Love finished with 21 and 19 boards and 7 assists for Minnesota. Blake Griffin, BG, had 25, 10, and 5 assists. And oh yeah, the Clippers came through with a 109-107 victory over the Timberwolves. That was back on November 11th of 2013. Coming up next, maybe we'll be able to connect to your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the T-Wolves, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the T-Wolves. Welcome back in. This is Clippers Countdown. I'm Adam Osland. Tip-off just about 50 minutes away. Coming up, you're going to hear from the head coach, Sharon Liu, but join the show right now, I believe, is your radio broadcaster of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez. Carlo, how are we doing?
No way, you got me? Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
Thank
There was
goodness.
too much stuffing in the line or something like that. There was some blockage going on. It was muffled.
Yeah, sorry. I had about 800 desserts yesterday, so still working through all that. But I'm glad we're back. Glad to talk to you. Did you have a good Thanksgiving? Was it? I saw you went live.
No,
Talk to the people.
I did. We keep it going 7 days a week here on
Okay.
Clippers Talk. We don't take any days off. And yes, I ate plenty as well. It's no sin to be a glutton on Thanksgiving.
No.
It's a sin not to be, actually.
I heard the calories actually don't count. It's like it doesn't even factor in anymore. So I told my doctor. I said, "What do you mean? It's Thanksgiving." But no, it's good to be back. Good to be back. Good one for the Clippers. Opportunity to get another big road win against the Minnesota team, like you mentioned. Maybe a wounded animal right now.
Yeah, they could be dangerous in this one, especially after Anthony Edwards called out his crew for being soft last game. Well, let's go back to the Clippers' last contest first. They would win 121-96 in D.C. over the Washington Wizards, where James Harden had his Clippers high of 43 points, 23 of which came in that first quarter. We could tell pretty early he had it going on, Carlo, and he kept it going to the point where he didn't have to play in the fourth quarter because the Clippers were up so big.
He was so good from the start, Adam. 26 points, 23 points in that opening quarter. It's the most in a first quarter all season by any player in the NBA this year. James Harden was getting to the rim. He was knocking down threes and really had to coming into that contest. The Clippers were only up 7 or 8 in that first quarter because Harden was on fire, and then they were able to kind of glide the rest of the way. What was most impressive from me, Adam, is his ability still to get 7 assists, still to get 3 steals on the defensive end. So not only do you score 43 points in just 32 minutes, but you're also contributing on the defensive end and getting your teammates involved. Great to see him play a game. And like he told Lauren Rosen, he's not old. He's not old, and it was good to see a guy who honestly, Adam, had struggled to the three-point line, not at his regular number to start the year, get back to that. And it seems like as of late, James Harden shooting 43% from 3 in his last 5 games. He's getting back to that prime scorer that we know him as.
Yeah, maybe those season legs kicking in for him. He's getting his, not sea legs, but season legs here with your Los Angeles Clippers as he continues to move along, which is scary for the rest of the league because they've been winning even with those low percentage shooting games from James Harden. He's been doing so much else to contribute, though, to this ball club, as have a few guys. Jordan Miller just went for his career high. He had 15 points in the ball game. He was pouring it on early and then late when they kept that lead up, and I just like how he was able to score at all 3 levels and got downhill and got to the basket over and over again. Everything we've seen from him in the G League, Summer League, preseason, it's all translated here to the big leagues here, Carlo.
Yeah, and here we are, Adam, about to play game 21, and he's already played 9 games. He only played 8 all of last season. So Jordan Miller already taken that step forward on the offensive end, and it's shown by how much he's been able to play for this Clipper team. I'm sure he'll get more run today. He's been aggressive. He's getting downhill, and the three-point shot hasn't really popped off yet, even for Jordan Miller. So there's still more to come from Jordan Miller, who is a 30-point scorer in the G League. It just shows the growth of this team. It's a big, I think, tipping the cap to Paul Hewitt and the G League coaches there in San Diego, who clearly have helped Jordan grow into somebody with all this confidence, knows his role, understands his ability on the offensive end, and is able to get to his spots. So great to watch him thrive. I think for all Clipper fans, it has been fun to see him go from a guy who appeared in 8 games last year, Adam. We barely saw Jordan Miller, and now he scored double figures in back-to-back contests.
Another guy thriving and diving to the rim. Ivica Zubac is just destroying one-on-one defensive schemes right now. They cannot cover him. Boston tried it. While they were up big, it didn't really matter, but Ivica Zubac still got his. But the Washington Wizards had their hands full as well. Nobody can contain Big Zoo with single coverage. I love seeing the level of domination he's showing.
I mean, he is so good on the offensive end. It is hard for teams to stop that right-handed hook shot. Leads the league in hook shots made and in field goal percentage from that spot. He is just so good for this Clipper team. It's also good to see him, Adam. I think earlier in the season, he felt a lot of pressure from this team. He felt like he had to be great on the offensive end. And at times, even Ty Lue mentioned it, he was rushing a little bit. Well, he has come calm and collected, especially these last 5 games, and underneath the paint, finding his teammates, getting to his right hand, to his left hand. He's been so effective. He's 3rd in the NBA in offensive rebounds, 4th in rebounds per game, and has 5 straight double-doubles coming into tonight. We'll see if he can get his 6. Would be much needed against this Timberwolves team.
It was great seeing the Clippers bounce back after a big loss in Boston. They didn't let one loss turn into 2. They came through with the 121-96 victory over the Washington Wizards on Wednesday. Today, they're back after it in Minnesota, taking on the Timberwolves. Coming up next, Carlo has his one-on-one conversation with the head coach, Tyronn Lue. You're listening to Clippers Countdown right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. extended pregame show here on Clippers Countdown. I'm Adam Osland. Clippers in Minnesota taking on Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves, losers of 4 straight and 7 of their last 9. Clippers have won 6 of their last 7 now, after taking down the Washington Wizards on Wednesday, 121-96 in D.C. Coming up, we'll get your player to watch, but first we head back over to Carlo Jimenez.
Thanks so much, Adam. Here with head coach Teron Lue before the Clippers take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coach, Harden went for 43 last game. When did you know early that he had it going? What was he doing?
Everything. Got to the basket, got some layups, got to the free throw line, made his first couple threes, and then at that point kind of knew he had it going.
Zoo said that James is a teammate that anyone would want to play with. What makes him such a special teammate? You see it every day, but maybe for people who don't see the things he does every day.
I think one thing is off the court, how he treats the young guys, take care of his young guys, takes them to dinner, buys them different things. And in that regard, on the floor, I think bringing the young guys along, just making them better, teach them how to read pick and rolls, and after practice and after shoot arounds, just putting those guys through those different situations, and then playing every single night, playing every night, want to compete at a high level, want to make his teammates better, and he's done all that for us this year.
Your team's 12-8, your first 20 games. Harden said the mindset of this group is very special. What is that mindset that this group has?
That no matter who's on the floor, we always have a chance. We think we have a chance to win. And having a defensive mindset every single night, play hard and compete every single night, that's got to be our mindset. That's what these guys have done. And so I give our coaching staff a lot of credit for keeping our guys engaged, making them better, but also the players in the locker room just understanding that we're going to go through some tough times and just keep competing, keep playing hard, and we'll always have a chance to win games.
Thank you so much. Best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Carlo Jimenez there pregame with the head coach, Teron Lue. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Tip-off is just about 42 minutes away here on Clippers Countdown. I'm Adam Osland, and coming up next, we will get to your player to watch right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. This is the official pregame show of your Los Angeles Clippers. Still to come, we got La Murray of The Athletic joining us. But before any of that,
this is LA Clippers basketball.
Watching this guy play right now is really something.
Players to watch.
Some of you already guessed in the chat at Clippers Talk on the YouTube side who I'm going with. That would be Amir Coffey. Why? Well, he's from Minnesota. In fact, he attended Hopkins High School in Minnetonka, Minnesota, received Minnesota Mr. Basketball honors as a senior, and then went on to play his college ball there for the Minnesota Gophers. Of course, he went undrafted. Clippers picked him up, Put him on a two-way back in 2019. The rest is history. He has been a solid role player and contributor for this Clippers team. Last time out, though, granted, the Clippers won big anyways by 25 in Washington, D.C. over the Wizards. But he had just 6 points, 2 of 8 shooting, and has been struggling from distance over his last 4 games, where he's just 3 for his last 15 from the outside. I expect him to show up big in this ball game. 2 of 8 the last game, 2 of 8 in Boston, 2 of 5 in Philadelphia. The bounce back is coming for Amir Coffey in his old stomping grounds back in Minnesota, taking on the Timberwolves. Tip-off is just about 38 minutes away. I'm Adam Oslin, and coming up next, your injury report right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Tip-off is just about 35 minutes away. And you know what, ladies? While we have a moment, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Let's get to your injury report, brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code KLAC to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. For the Clippers, still no Kawhi Leonard, but there was some interesting information that came out, not from Shams Charania, not from Adrian Wojnarowski, who is now retired, not from Chris Haynes, but from a former Clipper. That would be Patrick Beverley, who's currently playing over in Israel. He had a phone conversation, a texting conversation with Kawhi Leonard, and let me just read it to you here. By the way, in his phone, it's not under Kawhi, it's under Claw. Patrick Beverly's phone. But he said he's healing like a machine. Let me make sure I don't misquote this. "I'm on the way," is what was said in the conversation. The silent assassin, Kawhi Leonard. So, that's good to see. That's good news. That is hopeful. Kawhi also talked about how the league stinks right now, and the ratings are down, and how they're missing the claw. But he's apparently on the way. So, some positive news for once. Oh, here's some more. Joe Ingles is out with a calf injury in this ball game for your Los Angeles Clippers. So, thanks to Patrick Beverly, one of my all-time favorite Clippers, from bringing us some Kawhi Leonard updated injury report news here. As we move along, coming up next, we got Lyle Murray on from The Athletic. Tip-off is just about 33 minutes away here on Clippers Countdown. I'm Adam Osland, and you are listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the T-Wolves. Tip-off is just about 30 minutes away. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Countdown, the official pregame show of your Los Angeles Clippers. Still to come, we'll get to an NBA out-of-town scoreboard. But first, let's get to Lyle Murray of The Athletic. Follow him on X at Lyle Murray, the NU. La, happy holidays. Did you get what you were looking for Thanksgiving?
Nah, not at all.
What?
But I'm in Minnesota, but so happy to be here.
All right, fair enough. You got to Minnesota safe and sound. Let's talk about what happened last time out first. The Clippers won by 25 in D.C. over the Wizards, where it was James Harden having his Clippers high of 43 points. Are his sea legs or his season legs starting to come around? He's shooting 43% from three over his last 5 games.
I would say so. I mean, that's a pretty damn good number, right? So the fact of the matter is, I thought that first quarter was It reminded some people of the Snow Angel quarter that he had in Indiana last December. And when it comes to James, I think that like Zeus gave me some of the best quotes on how James was feeling and how he was playing and what his approach was. You know, he was like, hey, the way he was moving Wednesday night, I hope he's moving like that tonight in Minnesota, you know. But before all the threes, what I saw was James Harden. The best version of James Harden is the guy who gets to the paint. You know, he was intentional. The timeout that was called, I think, I don't know what time it was, but I just know that the Clippers scored, I think, on their first 5 possessions, right? And it was just intent. You know, they knew that there were weak defenders on the Washington Wizards, and they attacked them, and they got to the paint. If James Harden is feeling good enough to get to the paint, it's a long night for you, or you're bad, or, you know, possibly both. So tonight obviously presents a much different challenge. The Minnesota Timberwolves, what's interesting with them is, like, they have a great rim protector in Rudy Gobert. He's not at the level that he usually is, but the bigger issue for Minnesota is how bad Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid are when they have to protect the rim. And so how often will James hit the paint? Like, last time they were in Minnesota, James went 0 for 10. Okay, so that's going to be – and they won that game, but he went 0 for 10. So they really need James to let's see how decisive he is getting to the paint, because if you get to the paint, get some layups, and feel good that way, then you can start seeing how good your jump shot is.
We were hoping Norman Powell would be feeling better after Wednesday. He's still not playing in this one. Setback, or just he's still not ready coming off the hamstring?
Well, he was questionable going into this one. He was questionable going into Wednesday. They brought him on the trip. They worked with him. They had him on the court. So nothing to suggest a setback. James kind of hinted Wednesday that Norm might be back Friday, which is tonight, or he might come back Sunday when they have to play against the Denver Nuggets. And you got another cup game on Tuesday. After that, you get some real time off. So I would anticipate Norm being back as soon as Sunday. That they will need him whenever he gets back. But I think another thing that is good for the Clippers is they're playing well without him. Jordan Miller is getting a chance to play, and he's obviously made an impression. He just had a pretty good game. A lot of it was garbage time as far as the scoring, but a lot of this is fitting in, right? And he's done a good job fitting in. And when you have that, it's a luxury. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, I was on the road, and Marcus Morris was dealing with a rib issue or whatever, and other guys were starting, and Marcus told me, they don't need me right now, you know. And I know a lot of y'all don't like Marcus, so this isn't a comment on that. But it is to say that I think coaches are comfortable saying, hey, look, like, we got this. When other players get their opportunity, I used to comment on, hey, when guys are out, you have other guys ready to step up. Let's see what they do with their opportunity. Jordan's done a good job. I think that has helped, the decision of, hey, do we need to rush Norm back? He's got a hamstring. He's over 30 years old. He's a small guard. He's incredibly important to what the Clippers do. Give him time. He's getting that time, and Jordan Miller's going to get another spin in the rotation tonight.
So as soon as Norman Powell is back, does that mean Jordan Miller's back to being deep on the bench? Is he just going to lose his minutes immediately, or is there somebody else that might lose some minutes considering how well he's played?
I think that's a big thing to see. I think Jordan has obviously been knocking on the door before someone knocked on Norman Powell's hamstring. So the question is going to be, what are the rotation signs that you get in a game like tonight? You know, like, Jordan has started to come in a little earlier. You know, the leash has been a little bit shorter for guys like Kevin Porter, you know. But if you don't play a Kevin Porter, then what's the role that someone like T-Man has? You know, T-Man, I keep thinking back to the 21-22 team, a team that, you know, for long stretches of that season didn't have a traditional backup point guard. Eric Bledsoe started the year in the starting lineup, and then eventually he moved to the backup point guard spot, but then he got traded, and Terrence became the backup one again by default, you know, and that was a hell of a second unit, both before the trade, when you had Terrence and you had Isaiah, and Serge was working his way in there when Isaiah was out with the ankle injury. Obviously, Luke Kennard was playing great. Justice Winslow, eventually he got back and started contributing. And then after the trade deadline, they flipped out Justice and Serge, and Rocco was playing a lot in that second unit, you know. So that's a 9-man rotation. Guys knew that they were playing, and Amir Coffey was on a 2-way contract. He starts getting a chance. And so I'm really interested to see how things go. I don't think it's a guarantee for anybody, but that also means that guys, that second unit, they've lost leads. James got off to a 23-point first quarter, but it was still a 3-point game with about midway through the second quarter because the second unit defense wasn't very good. We saw what the second unit looked like in Boston. They kind of let their guards down as far as attention to detail. Guys have to play well in that unit if they want to continue to keep getting the minutes that they're going to get.
That and Jonas Valanciunas started 7 of 7 early on. Of course, Clippers renowned killer. They see another one tonight in Mike Conley. But you were talking with players post game, noting that you're 25% of the way through the season with this Clippers team. And what are some of the reactions you got from things they have to work on still and other places that maybe they can improve in incremental fashion?
This team is really, really locked into the process of their offense. Can you consistently get good shots? Can you get into what you're supposed to get into and execute accordingly? But even on the defensive end, what's really interesting about this Clippers team is that there's a lot of room for improvement. They're the best they're the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA. That is a surprise to a lot of people. That seems fluky, but we're getting to the point where, the Clippers have hit game 20 and every team will hit game 20. What's today? The 29th. So a week from today, everybody in the NBA, all 30 teams will hit their 20-game mark, the quarter pole, as far as I'm concerned. You are defined by that point. It's not a small sample size to say that you've played a quarter of the season. Last year is over. So there's a lot of belief that the defensive rebounding can hold up. But there's a lot of reason to think that they can be even better when it comes to how they're guarding shots, defending a lot smarter, so being better in the transition defense, which part of that is not putting your team in a spot where you are in transition defense so often. That means taking better shots, but more importantly, taking better care of the basketball. That's something that we've been harping on for a while. I think they're starting to get a little bit better as far as not donating possessions. Tonight's going to be a huge test because even though Minnesota hasn't been as good defensively as last year's top-ranked unit, what they are really good at is they're smart defensively. They actually defend without fouling and still force turnovers. That's the polar opposite of what we saw Wednesday night from the Washington Wizards. So it'll be interesting to see as the second quarter of the season begins what that looks like progressively for the Clippers on both ends of the floor.
We ended up getting an update from his former teammate in Patrick Beverley earlier today talking about Kawhi Leonard, but Coach...
That he's talking, don't he?
Yeah, he's got a podcast. He's got to. I know how that is. So, La, you talked, I think, with Coach Lou pregame. Give us some of the highlights of where Kawhi Leonard's at.
Your typical servings of Kawhi. You can call it leftovers from Thanksgiving, if you will. He's continuing to make progress. It sounds like he's doing more on the court this week than he was earlier in the month. That's the progress that you want. What we don't want to hear is things like setback. We're not sure. We're not really worried about it. That kind of stuff. I'm not hearing any of that stuff. Everything I'm hearing is a controlled situation and one that, while patience is a virtue, it sounds like people should be talking more about Kawhi Leonard participating with this team at the appropriate time, and they need to just stop talking about Kawhi needing to retire. So that's where I'm at. It's not super exciting, but it is to say that it's not discouraging either.
Okay, I'll take that. So you also talked about Anthony Edwards and the damage he has done to this Clippers team over the years, but why is Minnesota struggling right now? Why are they 8-10?
Because they play too many close games. This is a team that probably is better than an 8-10 team when you look at their point differential, when you look at the fact that they're probably a little bit better offensively than they were last year. Like the defense, it slipped significantly. Anytime you go from 1 to like 13 and something, that's a big deal. But that isn't to say that they're a bad defense. They're a bad defense compared to the defense that we got used to seeing last year. But this is still a unit that does some things well on that end of the floor. Bottom line is the Minnesota Timberwolves were a shaky fourth quarter team last year, especially when it came to turnovers. They are still that type of team. They rely heavily on Anthony Edwards. Dante DiVincenzo has not exactly gotten off to a great start here. I think that's a pretty objective thing to say. Julius Randle is good at getting his, but the fit with Julius Randle always requires some kind of an adjustment. And let's just put it this way. Last year's Timberwolves team was a contender. They got themselves to a conference finals by knocking off the defending champions on the road, facing the largest deficit a team has ever faced to come back from in a Game 7, road or otherwise. This is a Timberwolves team that plays too many close games to call themselves real contenders and doesn't win enough of those close games to call themselves real contenders. And so you look at the profile of the Timberwolves, you look at the profile of the Clippers, you look at the fact that that court is so green right now. There will be a lot of it's going to be close. It's going to be a very contentious battle. They got the ESPN table over there. You know, all of it adds up to close game, coin flip. What's going to happen? And it's going to come down to what we've been talking about for a good 10 minutes now: execution and details.
Close games aren't exactly foreign to the Clippers as well. He is Law Murray of The Athletic. Again, follow him on X at Law Murray, the NU.
Hey, follow me on that Blue Ski thing too. I'm on all that stuff.
Get him on the Blue Sky or whatever the new thing is. Law, I'll get to you on Sunday. Be good to see you back at Intuit Dome. Safe travels, my friend, and thanks for all the coverage you're doing.
Hey, thanks. Enjoy the games.
Coming up next, an NBA out-of-town scoreboard. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. And you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network.
You're listening to LA Clippers basketball. Free ball. Yes, sir. Right here on the LA Clippers Audio Network.
Clippers and Timberwolves from Minnesota. Tip-off is just 15 minutes away. I'm Adam Osland. Coming up, we'll get back to your radio voice of the Clippers in Carlo Jimenez. But first, let's get to your drive around the league. It's brought to you by Toyota's electrified lineup, including hybrids, plug-in hybrids, all electrics, and even fuel cell electric vehicles. So you can choose exactly the type you need for your lifestyle. We make it easy. Earlier in Atlanta, the Hawks took down the Cavaliers again, this time at home, 117-101. Darius Garland had 29 points on the loss, but the Cavaliers fall to 17-3 now on the season. Still best record in the NBA. The Knicks would win late in Charlotte, 99-98. Jalen Brunson had 31 points. They would win their cup game in Charlotte over the Hornets by 1. Brandon Miller had 20 in the loss for the Hornets. And one more for you, late fourth quarter action in Memphis. Grizzlies up 119-103 over the Pelicans. John Morant with 25, 7, and 3, as it looks like the Grizzlies are about to improve to 13 and 7 in the West, as they're up by 17 with 150 left over the Pelicans. Coming up next, we got Carlo Jimenez coming on. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Minnesota taking the Timberwolves from Target Center. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Countdown. Still to come, we'll get to your keys to victory, but back on the show, it's your radio voice of the Clippers in Carlo Jimenez. So, Carlo, the Timberwolves have lost 7 of 9, 4 straight, and Anthony Edwards had a soundbite post-game after they lost to the Kings on Wednesday, calling the team soft. How did you interpret it? Because I saw it as, well, they're afraid, they're walking on eggshells next to one another, and they don't want to call each other out for not playing the right way. Is that how you see it?
I think you're spot on, Adam. That's exactly how it seems. Mike Conley has said, look, we've got to be a better team at communicating with one another, talk it out, get through the issues you have so then you don't hold on to those as the rest of the games go on. Just need a little bit of group therapy over there in Minnesota to get these guys through what they're going through right now. But I think, Adam, also what this brings forth in this game is this is a real tipping point for Minnesota. When your leader calls out your team and says that their identity is soft, it can go one of two ways. You either explode and take off and things go well, or things go worse for you. And Minnesota's at that crossroads right now with the Clippers, the team on the other side. This is a Minnesota team that's been in 7 straight clutch games. They have had an opportunity in every single one of these losses during this losing streak, but have been unable to come away with wins except in 2 of those contests. So can they figure out how to get it done late? That's going to be the question. But if you're the Clipper team, can you continue to be a thorn in that side?
Yeah, the Minnesota Timberwolves at 8-10. Your Los Angeles Clippers at 12-8 right now. We're 25% of the way through the season with this Clippers ball club, Carlo. What have you seen that you do like, some of the strengths that you need to stay around for this team to be successful, and what are areas they can improve in it?
Well, shout out Law Murray for putting out a great tweet this morning, if anybody didn't see it. But he compared last year's Clippers statistics to the first 20 games of this year's Clipper team. And what impressed me the most, Adam, was this is a group built on rebounding and defense. This is a team built on rebounding defense. And why that's so impressive is because that's what they told us at the start of training camp, and it's been executed this season. The same emphasis was last year during training camp, but the Clippers had so much talent offensively. You brought in James Harden during the middle of the year. It was hard to be able to establish a rhythm from the get-go when they pretty much hit the restart button in mid-November. This is a different Clipper group with a different circumstance, and they've been able to say this is what we want to focus on and have been able to execute it every single night out. It's a gritty group. It's a well-coached group. Shout out Lawrence Frank for seeing the vision and Ty Lue for putting it together. Clearly, they worked in great pairing to put this team on the hardwood, and then for them to go out and get success and to make a move in the middle of the season. I mean, the move for Chris Dunn, for Terrence Mann in the starting lineup has been beneficial for both those two guys. Both of them have played better since those moves have been made, and this Clipper team as a whole, they seem like they have good vibes, Adam. They're the guys you want to hang out with. They hang out with each other. They get together with each other. They have meals with each other. They are all happy for each other's success. That starts with James Harden and Ty Lue, but clearly this is a group that loves playing with each other, and that's the most important thing. Just ask the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, it feels like the Clippers have all the intangibles that are missing in that Minnesota locker room right now. They also have a guy in Jordan Miller who went 7 of 10, had 15 points. Talked about that career night he had on Wednesday. But what happens when Norman Powell returns? Is this a good problem for Coach Lue to have? Because it feels like there's going to be a minutes crunch somewhere with how well Jordan Miller has been playing.
I think it's the best problem you can have in today's NBA. You have more flexibility, you have more depth, and you have an opportunity to keep the light under the. I mean, there's a little more fire under the seats right now of some of those guys down the bottom of the bench, knowing that Jordan Miller is ready to step in if they need him to. So now all 9 guys, Tyler said he likes to rotate 9 people per contest in a perfect world, are going to understand that they're playing not only for a team to prove, but also to keep their spot every single night. And I think that competitiveness, that internal fire, something that was talked about coming into the year. Hey, can this group be competitive? Can they have that fire? Having it in your team and among guys in your rotation is huge for this Clipper group to keep everybody engaged, everyone in focus. I think it's only a good thing for this team. It only shows the depth they have, how much they can throw different looks at you. We've seen Ty Lue. Just because you're the 12th guy, 11th guy on the bench doesn't mean you're not going to play in big moments. Just ask PJ Tucker. I mean, he wasn't playing for most of the Clipper season. He starts Game 6 in Dallas, plays significant minutes down the stretch towards the end of the year. Jordan Miller is going to stay ready. That's what he does, and his number will be called upon. Even if Norman Powell comes back and he's phased out of the lineup, he will be asked to play big minutes once again in this Clipper season.
And going back to this Minnesota ball club, the pieces haven't exactly fit in so far. Julius Randle's putting up some numbers, but it's not necessarily impacting winning. Dante DiVincenzo has struggled so far, just getting 9 points per game, but the shooting percentages are way down. Defensively, he has struggled where he was thriving in New York in that area. Just what's going on with this Minnesota team from the outside looking in?
This is something they had to deal with, Adam, when they brought in Rudy Gobert in that big trade a couple of years ago. How do we play with Rudy? How do we adjust to somebody like Rudy Gobert? They're going through that right now at this exact time with Julius Randle, trying to figure out how do you play with Julius? How do you play with Dante? There is an adjustment period. Just ask the Clippers. I mean, they acquired James Harden. They went on to lose 6 in a row and then went on 25-6 over a 31-game span. There's always an adjustment period in the NBA. Minnesota is currently in that adjustment period, trying to figure out how they can play with all of their superstars on this lineup. But I think what's also a key for this Timberwolves team, they're shooting the 3-ball a lot more, Adam, than they did last year, relying on the 3-ball a lot more. 47% of their shots come from the 3-point line. That's the 4th highest in the NBA. Last year in that statistical category, they were 17th. So the interior presence is not nearly what it was a year ago. The good news for your Los Angeles Clippers, they are one of the best teams, the best in the month of November at defending the 3-point line. So the Clippers, this is a Minnesota team that should match up better for the Clippers tonight here in Minnesota. The other question is, though, you talked about it, it's almost not to the same degree, but the fire your coach game in the NFL. Every time a team fires a coach, the next game they seem to come out with a win because they're playing for each other. Does Anthony Edwards' words spill into the actions of Minnesota tonight here at home? That's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, I expect them to play with a level of desperation we haven't seen yet this season. When your leader calls you out like that, it typically lights a fire under the rest of the group. Tip-off is just about 5 minutes away. Carlo Jimenez is on the call from Minnesota. Clippers taking on the Timberwolves. And up next, we'll get to your keys to victory right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers and Timberwolves tipping off just moments away here on Clippers Countdown. I'm Adam Osland. Let's get to your keys to victory. You got to start fast against a team that is struggling. Continue to let that doubt creep into their minds that they're just not the same as they were last season right now, starting 8-10 on the year, Minnesota. You don't want to let them think, tonight's our night. We're going to break out of this slump. We were called out for being soft by Anthony Edwards, and we're going to turn things around against this Clippers group. You got to start fast and furious like effort from this Clippers team in the first quarter. And, of course, they got to slow down Anthony Edwards, who has destroyed them in the past. Now, this is a different Clippers team defensively, especially on the perimeter with their point of attack defenders. I expect Chris Dunn to be on him, Derek Jones Jr. early on, Terrence Mann some as well. The Clippers have the guys to slow down Ant. You got to take up that challenge, though, of playing great one-on-one basketball against him. All right, here we go. It's Carlo Jimenez on the call. Clippers and Timberwolves from Target Center in Minnesota, and tip-off is coming up next right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network.